Okay. Stop sharing. Hello, everyone. Hi from LA.
Hi,
Yeah.
we're live. Okay, great.
Yeah, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar.
Yeah.
This
my
is
name
actually
is
our
Simon.
last webinar that we're going to be doing. I know that it's really sad for many of us, including us as staff,
Us too.
And as webinar people delivering. We're definitely going to miss it. We're going to miss all the interaction with all you wonderful folks at home. And so we'll try to make this one the best one ever.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to shoot for today.
Yeah.
And this is Simon.
Yes, I'm Simon. I graduated. I'm a recent graduate from Delphi, and I'm just volunteering and helping whichever way I can.
Super helpful, super incredible. And I'm Julia, and I work here at the Delphian School in Oregon. And up until about a month or two ago, I was a student ethics advisor. So I was inspired to want to participate in these webinars because I felt that there could be information that we could share that would be useful for those of you at home, whether you're a Delphi student and you're at home and watching the webinar, or you go to a different school. And we're hoping that this information can be useful and valuable for you in your life going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the main topics that we've covered so far throughout our webinar journey have been all related to ethics, responsibility, integrity, and honor.
Right.
And we've really just tried to stick to one of the main topics during a webinar. This time we decided we're going to just free flow.
Everything.
Yeah, we're going to free flow. So the first thing I wanted to do is just kind of newly cover these terms and what they mean.
There's already questions coming in.
And what we can do is every so often we're going to say, okay, if you have any questions, and then we'll and then we'll spend some time and we'll cover questions. I really want to encourage you to ask questions.
Yeah.
The whole reason that we're doing this is to make the content relatable to you
possible.
and real to your lives and to be helpful. So if there is something that you need help with or that you're trying to figure out and you feel like we might be able to provide some insight, you know, if it's related to ethics, responsibility, integrity, peer pressure, any of those topics that we've covered, we're really happy to talk about it with you. Okay, so we will.
Mauricio, you're late. We haven't really started covering anything. So we were just talking about what we've covered in the past few weeks. Yeah.
Yes.
So we haven't really talked about anything yet.
Yeah, so we're going to get started.
I'm trying to get into Delphi. That's great.
Great. Wonderful, Elijah. Yeah. We'd be happy to have you.
Yeah.
And another question from our friend Evelyn. What if you don't tell the full truth, but people think that it's the full truth? Good question.
Yeah.
I guess you're wondering how you would go about cleaning that up or maybe getting honest about it.
Right.
Which is a great question. And I would just advise you to take that courageous step, which is sometimes the hardest thing to do, but really the best thing to do. And the thing that is going to enable you to move forward from that situation, whatever it might have been. And the other thing you can always do is talk to your parents, talk to a safe adult, you know, get some sound advice depending on the exact situation that you are running into. But I would always advise people in the direction of being honest and open and telling the full truth rather than trying to leave things kind of covered up, because then
you feel bad about it. And
those things you cover up end up having a weird way of like biting you later on.
Yeah. And
like
also,
later on in life, sometimes they can kind of catch up with you. And that's never good to have to sit around worrying about if things are going to catch up with you.
Yeah. And those things like build up bit by bit. And then like at one point you can't handle it.
They pull you away from really being able to engage in your life and really live your life. So, okay, good. So we'll launch into some of the terms.
Definitions.
Definitions and terms. Okay, so the first one, which I don't think we've ever covered so far in the webinar, so we're going to cover it now. And this is from the Ethics book, which is published by Heron Books, our sister company, and it's based on the works of Mr. L. Ron Hubbard. And I'm going to go ahead and read to you. It's actually such a beautiful book. I just can't help but want to show you. I'm going to read you the definition in the book. You also can find.
Do you want me to pull up the thing?
Yeah. You do have a PDF that was sent to you in advance, and you will be able to pull it up in your PDF. It's from the ethics book PDF, and the page number in my book is 70. I hope it's the same on the PDF, maybe 71 on the PDF. So it says, ethics is the use of reason to achieve the highest level of survival for all your dynamics.
Yeah, it's not the same one, but
it's a little different. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the next page says, reason is your greatest weapon. If you use reason, you will do things that are constructive and helpful to the parts of your life. This is being ethical.
Right.
You've probably heard a lot of people say, oh, that wasn't ethical, or that was an unethical business decision, or that was an unethical choice that you made. And that's what it's referring to. It's referring to, did you really use reason? Did you really use your ability to make sound and good choices with whatever action or decision that you made?
Right.
That's what we're talking about when we talk about ethics. Okay. The next term that I want to cover is responsibility, which is also from our trusty ethics book here. And that is on page 121 of your PDF. So you can find that as well. And this is the same PDF. So, gosh, this book is just gorgeous. Look at it. I just have to show you guys the pictures. This is actually a new book. Honestly, it's the first time I'm seeing it, and I'm already loving it. It's gorgeous. Okay. So it says responsibility means recognizing that you caused something, that you made it happen. When you take responsibility for an overt, meaning something that you did that wasn't beneficial and it harmed actually more areas of your life than it helped, that means, first of all, you admit causing it. So that's the first part, right? Is you recognize it and then you admit causing it. So I think that there's a lot of value in talking about responsibility. It's probably something maybe your parents have said to you, or your teachers have said to you, where they're like, you're not being responsible, or you need to be more responsible. I mean, I know as a child, I heard that a lot, and correctly so. My mom was right. I definitely wasn't being responsible. But the thing that we're talking about here is one's own ability to recognize, you know, okay, I just picked up this paper. That was me that did that. I just picked up this paper, right? Or I threw that pen to that part of the desk. I did that. I caused that action. And so when we talk about responsibility, we talk about being able to see and recognize and take ownership for the fact that you did do that, right?
Right.
Sometimes that's really hard if you did something that wasn't good and that you're not proud of, and that you are really concerned you're going to get in a bunch of trouble for. And that's understandable. We've all been there. We've all had situations like that where we're concerned about how much trouble we're going to get in because we did this thing and now we have to come clean. And but the first step, and I just, so many times I've seen people just really take their own responsibility for whatever action it was that they did or whatever effect that they created. And so many times it just gets so much easier from there to finish cleaning up or handling whatever needed to be addressed. So I think there's a lot of value in just working on that skill and practicing that, and practicing being able to take ownership for when you did, you know, cause an action that wasn't good, and being able to say, oof, I did that. Yikes. I created that effect, or, you know, exactly. Okay, good. And then the other term that I wanted to talk about is integrity. Okay, so this definition we took from the Oxford Dictionary, and it says the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness, and the state of being whole and undivided. So we definitely spent quite a bit of time talking about that in a different webinar, because it's such a
huge topic,
incredible concept to really grasp that as a person, you're a whole person, right? And any time that you go against your, how it says, your moral uprightness or your own ethics of what you feel good or not good about, whenever you go against that, there's a part of you that doesn't feel whole anymore. And so I think the definition where it's just talking about being whole and undivided, again, another skill and another area of life that we can really work on and practice, just being whole and being honest and being true. which leads me to the next thing I wanted to cover, which is an article called Personal Integrity. This is another PDF that you should have, and it's called Integrity in the Code of Honor. And it is the first article in that PDF. So if you want to pull it up while I'm reading, feel free. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you now. And this is an article called Personal Integrity by L. Ron Hubbard. He says, "What is true for you is what you have observed yourself, and when you lose that, you have lost everything. What is personal integrity? Personal integrity is knowing what you know. What you know is what you know. And to have the courage to know and say what you have observed. And that is integrity, and there is no other integrity." Right. Of course, we can talk about honor, truth, all these things, these esoteric terms, but I think they'd all be covered very well if what we really observed was what we observed, that we took care to observe what we were observing, that we always observed to observe, and not necessarily maintaining a skeptical attitude, a critical attitude, or an open mind, but certainly maintaining sufficient personal integrity and sufficient personal belief and confidence in self and courage that we can observe what we observe and say what we have observed. So that is just one of my favorite articles, such a guiding light in life for all of us. So now that we've covered those different terms and we've read that article, I want to see if you have any questions or if you have any main things that you want to dive into today and talk about. So I'll give you guys a minute to think about that and write into the question and answer box for us.
What does esoteric mean?
Good question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab my phone so we can look up the exact definition for you.
On my phone right here.
Oh, good. We will get you an exact definition of esoteric. That's a really good question. And I appreciate that you are asking what it means.
This one? Only taught.
Yeah, hard to understand.
Yeah. So on Merriam Learners, it's called the definition that fits is only taught to or understood by members of a special group or hard to understand. Yeah.
The examples are esoteric knowledge and esoteric subjects or concepts. Yeah.
Yes. I think that is very poetic and very true. Yes.
Great. Okay, good. So we have a couple questions. So we'll start from the beginning. One of our webinar participants says that they're usually the responsible person in their class, which is easy because the others in class aren't. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be that person to step up.
Yeah. It's tough sometimes, huh? It's not always easy to be the one to say, oh, you probably shouldn't do that, or that's probably not a great idea. But at the same time, if you didn't, and if your presence weren't there, your friends would probably do things that they would regret later and they wouldn't really feel good about. So it's great that you stand up for, your friends and yourself, and that's great. Yeah. Okay. Another friend says, I've tried telling myself that I did something and it's fine, but I can't make it okay by just telling myself that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. What are your thoughts on that, Simon?
By telling myself that is okay?
Yeah, like meaning you did something and you're like, oh, it's okay. It's fine that I did that, but it's not.
Yeah, but like
kind of where do you go
from
from there?
Eventually, like you're gonna like start thinking like you start feeling guilty, and then for me, like I feel like eventually I'm gonna tell someone and just get clean about it. It's like it's okay, but like you deep down, no.
You feel yucky deep down. Like, it's true. Another point on that is I've often seen it kind of be like a snowball effect where you do one thing and you're like, oh, it's fine. You kind of sweep it under the rug. You sweep it to the back of your mind.
You do a little more.
And you do another one. Okay. Yeah. And you're like, oh, and each time what it's kind of doing is it's kind of tearing away at your wholeness.
Right. Just like
of your integrity. It's really kind of, it's eroding your integrity little by little by little by little by little. So I would love for all of you to spend some time when you can and really just read this ethics book. It does contain step-by-step tools on what you can do. It's definitely knowledge, and it's amazing knowledge, but there's practical application to what the book talks about.
Right.
And I would honestly recommend read the PDF that we sent you and take any one of those kind of step-by-step, things that you can do and do them, and you will feel better. You will be able to move forward once you really take responsibility and really take ownership for whatever it might have been that was going on. Great.
How to stop from doing bad things?
That is a really good question. And, I think even if you asked adults that question, that they would, the thing is, none of us are perfect. None of us, I think it's a little bit of an unreal expectation to think that you would never ever do something bad ever again.
Right.
The thing is, as you go through life and you grow, you take on more areas of responsibility.
Right.
And when you do that, you actually take on more of an opportunity to make mistakes and to make bad choices and learn from them and move forward. Right. So how do I explain this? I don't want anyone to feel that just because they make a mistake, and then they make a mistake the next week and they make a mistake the next month, like, okay, we all do. It happens. What the key is how do you address those mistakes, and what do you do? Again, do you sweep them under the rug, pretend like they didn't happen, or do you get honest about it and do you admit that you made a mistake and you admit that you did that thing, and then really learn from it and go, okay, cool, so this is what happened. Oof, man, that wasn't good. All right, next time around when I'm in that situation or I'm in that position, what am I going to do differently? What could I do differently? Could I do this or could I do that? And that's where you're going to grow. Right. Not beating yourself up about the things you've done in the past, not sitting around and feeling terrible and guilty. I mean, if you're feeling that way, absolutely take action to work on those things that you don't feel good about by making good choices, right? Taking responsibility for the things that have happened. But as far as how are you ever never going to do something bad again, I can't answer that because I can't answer that for myself. Yeah. I mean, I can't attest to that. That I would never make another mistake in my life. Of course I'm going to make mistakes. Yeah. Every time I take on something new or learn something new, or
always make some mistakes.
There's always going to be mistakes, and that's how you learn. It's part of the process of learning and really being able to be responsible and growing into some new zone or some new area of life. So, I mean, gosh, when I had my kids, as a first-time mother, I mean, there were so many things that I didn't know, and I made so many mistakes, but you learn from them and you move forward, and that's how we grow through the phases of our life.
Yeah. And Viola, is that how you say it? I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Viola, one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What if someone from a TV show ends up hurting his friends from a giant robot and ends up not taking up for his part?
That question I don't completely understand.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help us
it a little bit?
Clarify that question.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand what that means. Okay.
Fallon said, or get the course. I've done it. It's pretty good.
Oh, that's great, Fallon. Our friend Fallon says that they're familiar with the ethics book course. That's great. Elijah
asked, Julia, what do you normally do in Delphi?
What's my job?
Julia came here last year right after spring break, right?
April 1st. Was my first day as a staff member here.
Yes, and Julia was the ethics advisor. So it's like a counselor in public schools.
Yeah, it's comparable to that.
Something like that.
It's comparable to that. Yeah.
And then recently, Julia got a new job, a new position.
Yeah.
Which is our business manager's assistant.
It's called head of administration.
Head of administration. Yes.
So I work I still work with the ethics department, and I help our current ethics advisor as his manager. And then the other areas of the school that I'm responsible for are all the personnel, all the staff training and professional development, the hiring, all the mail and kind of phone lines and the communication lines of the school,
Mm-hmm.
and also the different all the different laws and regulations and requirements that we have as a school. I make sure that we're keeping up with all those things.
Okay, and Fallon said, what is a counselor in public schools, etc.? I've never been to one, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Me neither. I've never been to a public school in the US.
Yeah, so I have. Where I went to school, the counselor was the person that would sit people down, either one-on-one or even in group situations, and they would go over and cover, any disciplinary issues, or if the person was having a hard time as an individual, they would help them out. There are some similarities to what a counselor does and what an ethics advisor would do, but there are many differences.
Oh, for sure.
Differences are mainly in how the person goes about helping that student.
Right.
Here at Delphi, we're very focused on the student as an individual and what they need as an individual and what they're struggling with as a person from the ethics department. I'm just purely talking about that now. And so what we do that's really different is we are guiding the person toward being more
better
determined as an individual and able to come out of the work that they do with the ethics advisor stronger as a person, more certain on what they feel is right or wrong. And, but we really work with the person being willing to work with us. So, there's been situations where I was talking to a student about something that happened, and they were willing to take responsibility and ownership for a portion of it. And that was all. And, to a certain degree, if that's what I have to work with, that's what I'm going to work with the student on. Right. It's going to be their degree of their willingness to work with me and work on themselves. Right. Working on themselves is another huge part of it too.
For sure.
Good. Okay, let's take the next question here.
Okay, so Viola, I meant that he hurts his friend by using his giant robot with weapons and never admits to his mistakes.
I don't know. By using his giant robot. Okay, so basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's someone who has a robot as some kind of a toy or like whatever, like they can deploy the robot to do different things. Right. And if they use the robot to do bad things and then they didn't admit to the mistakes. Okay.
Yeah, he hurts his friend.
Okay, I still don't understand the question though. That's okay. Maybe the question is, how would you handle the person that's using the robot in that way? I'm not totally sure. Okay, so what's the next question? We have
Elijah. So do you help people join?
Do I help people join?
I think
as a student?
I think at a staff member, I think. Like, do you?
Oh, to bring on a new staff member? Yeah, that would be something that my area takes care of. Good.
Yeah, if it's students, Julia is not really in charge of that. Are you?
No.
Not really.
No.
Yeah, those are admissions.
That's right. Okay, good. So let's cover some more information from. I remember there were a few things we really wanted to talk about last time that we didn't get to. One of the things that we wanted to bring up, because we had so much fun talking about it at a different time, was movies and TV shows where we've seen characters demonstrate integrity, ethics, responsibility,
like any sort, these qualities
that we're all striving to work on.
Yes.
So I would love to hear from you on what movies really stand out for you.
Movies, TV shows, or anything, honestly.
I will go first because I'm obsessed with my Disney movies. But
go ahead.
I have three movies that really stand out for me regarding integrity and ethics and responsibility. Okay, the first one is Moana. Okay, first of all, just an amazing movie and just wonderful characters, and the whole plot is so fun and the music is great. And okay, the thing that I just love about Moana, who's the main character of this movie, is that I really believe she demonstrated her integrity, and it was so hard for her to do so. There were so many obstacles and challenges that were thrown at her, and there were so many times where she could have just bowed out and ducked out and said, I'm not, I'm not going to pursue this anymore. The thing that stood out for me was that she had this feeling deep down that she knew that there was more heritage and more history to the people, like her tribe that she was part of. She knew deep down that what she was being told by her family and the other people in the village and so forth, she like somehow knew that there was more to it. And even though people had told her time and again that, no, this isn't, no, Moana, all we've ever done is, taking care of the village and been farmers and whatever, forget all the exact things her village did. But she was told that over and over and over and over again. And she still was like, I'm going to go chase this vision and this like nagging feeling that I have inside of my soul that there's something else going on that I need to find out about. So she did. She left her family temporarily, left her village, and she went on this whole journey and this whole exploration to really find out who her people really were and where they came from. And in doing that, she uncovered this whole other situation that was also really tough and crazy. And she like worked through that and figured it out. And in the end, she made it right. And she improved the quality of life of herself, her family, and her whole village because she stuck to her integrity. I can't. It's just the best. Anyway, that's my Moana story.
Okay.
Okay, I have some more questions here.
Questions.
Let's see.
Angelica said, are you guys showing up for the grand finale on Friday, 2:30? Yes, we are. We are going to show up.
Okay.
Emily and Elsa, when she was young, needed more.
Yes, thank you for bringing up Elsa. She is another amazing example of integrity, and so is her sister Anna. Elsa and Anna from Frozen are two sisters with, some real integrity, some real substance of character. Big time. I completely agree.
Yes. Anonymous said Hindi, Elsa, she had integrity, especially in the second movie.
I love that you guys are tracking with me about Elsa and Anna. I keep bringing up Anna because you know what it was about Anna? When Elsa like split to make her ice castle.
Right.
Which, by the way, let it go. I mean, come on. You just have to take a second to appreciate the amazingness of that song and Elsa's whole coming into being for that song. Like, wow. She figured out who she was and sang a whole song about it in about like a split second. And it was just incredible. And she's building her castle as she's figuring it out. I just love it. I still have the chills every time I think about it. Oh, I love it. Okay. The thing about Anna was that so Elsa splits, the whole village hates Elsa because they think she's basically a monster.
Right.
And so Elsa splits and Anna's like, no, she's my sister. I love her. I'm going after her.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to bring her back or, I'm going to get it figured out. And again, Anna goes against all odds and goes out in the middle of this frozen winter and completely resolves the situation. I love it. Okay, more comments that we want to read. Okay, Black Stallion. Gosh, that's an oldie but a goodie. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, but it makes me want to watch it. So thank you for telling us about that. Another person says that Rapunzel has good integrity, responsibility, and ethics. I love Rapunzel. My daughter has a little Rapunzel princess dress. It's so cute. Oh. So Rapunzel, so that's another fascinating storyline where we have a character who, again, was told something that wasn't true her whole entire life. She was told that I don't know, what did they tell her? She was basically living in this little tower, and this lady who she thought was her mom and who told her that she was her mom over and over and over and over and over again. Right. Anyway, Rapunzel had magical powers. Her hair was magical, all these things. And, but really what it was that she was the daughter of the king and queen of the land. Oh, really? And this lady had like kidnapped her as a baby to basically steal her magical powers. I see. Over her life. Anyway, Rapunzel, I can't remember the exact storyline. I think she escapes and then is able to like really find out who her parents are. She hooks up with this cool guy that kind of helps go on this journey with her and they figure it all out together. Anyways, I totally agree on Rapunzel. She also was a good example of really following her heart and knowing that there was more to what she was being told than what was really going on. All right, so we're getting more questions. Let's see here.
Yes. I'm actually rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender. I never watched this one. At some point, Zuko, the prince of the Nation, accepts and takes responsibility for what he did, attack the Avatar and the people around him, and then he tries to rectify what he had done by helping the Avatar. The show also goes over that a little bit here and there too. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a really great show. It's really funny.
Great. Awesome. Thank you for telling us about it.
show?
I haven't seen it either, but you guys are giving me a lot of good things to write on my list of things I need to watch. I love it.
Inigo Montoya and The Princess Bride.
Oh my gosh, that's a classic. Princess Bride is a great movie. It's been a while. I don't remember all the characters. I remember that character was trying to like avenge his father's death. That's what comes to mind. I could be totally wrong. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Okay, let's see the other comments here. Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Ooh. Do you know much about Spider-Man? I'm not a big
is it
Marvel.
The old one or the new one?
I don't know the Marvel movies as well. My husband and son know them really well. I don't know them extremely well.
Spider-Man, for me, not so well.
Okay.
Okay. Avatar: The Last Airbender just got on Netflix. You should definitely watch it.
Okay.
It does have 3 seasons.
Oh, so it's a show on. Yeah, there's a show about Avatar now. I didn't even know that.
I don't think it's the same Avatar. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, so it's not the same Avatar, the blue people. It's different.
Nope. I don't think so.
Good. Well, I'm really glad we got to talk about that because I felt like I hadn't been able to get all of it out of my system from the last webinar that we did. Okay, good.
Oh, Mauricio is asking.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about movies and TV shows where we've seen characters really demonstrate exceptional integrity, ethics, responsibility, honor, those sorts of things. Okay, good. So I'm going to ask Simon a couple of questions.
Sure.
And let him talk to you all about a couple of topics here. Okay, so Simon, what do you think is the importance of the particular part of the article Personal Integrity that says, as far as qualities that you have when you have personal integrity, that you have courage, that you take care to observe what you are observing, and that you have confidence in yourself to actually say those things that you've observed and seen?
What I think is important?
Yeah, what do you think? Why do you think that that's important?
Because you can observe something and not say anything about it. Okay, what's a good example? Okay, here's an example from 2 summers ago. I was the recreation room manager, and then we had cleanup every single night, and my workers are my friends. What I observed was that they didn't do a good job.
So you were in charge of your friends?
Yes, I was in charge of my friends.
Yeah.
And then they didn't do a good job, and then I observed that, but I didn't have the courage to say so. Instead of I let them go, and then I did everything by myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so maybe looking back on that, what do you think would have gone, what do you think you would have done differently, or how would it have gone better, let's say, if you had applied more integrity?
Honestly, I would save myself more time, and also I wouldn't be working as hard. I mean, I don't have to spend as much time in there, and also just getting a better product. The rec room is just going to be cleaner and then done in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. And do you think you would have made those workers more honest and more?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because they were kind of able to sneak out of doing some work that they were supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, it was part of their agreement that they were supposed to be doing.
Right. And I would just be like, okay, you guys can go. Like, instead of, okay, you're staying here until you finish your work. That's
a good example.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like you grew from that?
Just having the courage. I think the courage is the most important part. And also sufficient confidence in self, I think, is really, really important in this concept of integrity. Because you can have the courage to say so, but like, if there's like really no confidence in yourself, is like people wouldn't really like listen to you or just have any. Yeah, I don't think it'll work as that well if you don't have sufficient confidence in yourself. Yeah.
But I love the courage part too, because it's so true. Like every time that
if there's no courage, like nothing else follows.
I know. Like every time you make a mistake and you're like, oof, I need to correct this, or I need to make this right. It's one of those really important skills that you just practice and you practice and you practice it. And maybe the first time you're like, oh, I can't do it. And maybe the second time you're like, no, I have to. And you do it. And the third time you don't even think about it. And you're like, no, this is what I got to do. This is the right thing. Or this is what needs to be done.
For sure.
So I'm going to do this. And so it is a skill that we build, and it is something that we can practice and that we can always work on.
Oh yeah.
And be, striving to higher levels of practicing that skill and getting better and better and better at it as we go through our lives and as we grow. And
yeah.
All right, we have a bunch more questions coming in, so we'll see what those are.
Someone asked, how do you build up that confidence and courage? So for me, so 2 summers ago when I was a recreation room manager, I struggled a lot. And I talked to one of our teachers here, Sam. Maybe some of you know him. He was in a lot of the webinars earlier in the past weeks. And he told me that, because where I was I had no courage. And then he told me to try out having too much courage. Just try out and see where it fits and how you handle it. And
oh, interesting.
yeah,
that's cool.
Just having too much,
like almost pretend like you have just such an abundance of courage. You don't even know what to do with all of it. Or
yes,
something.
and
oh, cool.
Just try and see how that works out for you, and then you can adjust it from there.
Oh, neat.
And also, I think another thing is to practice. Starting from little things. I don't know, like during class, you could maybe, if you disagree with someone's viewpoint, you could probably just stand up and say, okay, here's my viewpoint and I disagree with yours. I think that's a very, very simple one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do you have any examples, Julia? What do you think? How do you build up that confidence and courage?
Well, I'll kind of think about my own, history and maybe my career and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like my personal opinion is it has to do with just practicing and getting better at something. I feel a pretty piece of common sense knowledge that when someone first starts doing something, there's usually not a standard or expectation that they're going to be perfect at it. I mean, I feel like most people are pretty understanding that if it's the person's first time that they're trying something out, that they're probably not going to be like just an instant amazing success at it. And it's going to take some practice and some work, and there's going to be some failures and some successes and some setbacks. And I think the main thing is don't be too hard on yourself. Like start out with a small goal. Like let's say, okay, I want to learn how to perform a song on the guitar, let's just say. And I'm going to teach myself, or I'm going to take lessons to play the guitar. And, the first time I perform, maybe I'm going to be terrible, but I'm never going to get good unless I keep going.
For sure.
I'm never going to be able to get really, really good at that skill unless I do it again next time, learn from the things. Maybe I made a couple mistakes in the song. Okay. So next time I would practice those parts extra hard, practice them extra. And again, each time that you do a skill or a job or anything, it's just a matter of persisting on it, So as long as you're willing to persist and know that there might be some setbacks and failures and mistakes and whatever, but you just keep persisting and you keep practicing, you'll get confident.
Yeah.
You will. It'll happen. It totally will.
And Isis has a question. If you have a problem with confidence, you can do how to achieve self-confidence.
Okay, great. That must be some type of...
Was it a question or?
I think they're making a comment.
Oh, I see.
Someone asked us, why did we pick the painting that's behind us?
Oh, yes.
We decided we liked it.
Yeah, Julia liked the painting. We were like, I like the painting.
Let's do the Van Gogh painting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else?
Someone watched the video that had you in it, the tour of the school. Oh, thank you.
Oh, did you video?
Yes,
doing a tour of the school?
I'm the starting and the ending part.
Oh, neat. I'll have to watch it. I didn't know that. That's great. Very nice. Okay, cool. Let me see if there's any other main things, because we are about 5 minutes out here.
Yes. Anyone has any last questions that we can answer?
Good idea. Any more questions that you want to have? Because this is going to be
our last
sad face, our last webinar for at least this time period. Okay, good. So the next thing I want to talk about is growth.
Okay.
Simon and I did some research before our last webinar on what growth means and how someone can achieve growth in a certain area in their life. And we kind of came up with a few examples.
Right.
One example was increasing an ability. So finding an ability or seeing something that you want to strive toward and working on practicing that ability. However, whatever that means for you, whatever ability it might be that you choose. Let's say you wanted to get better at making new friends, well, a smaller step in that direction could be the next time that you're somewhere and there's someone you don't know, to go and introduce yourself and say hi and ask how their day's going. Just, little things like that.
Yeah.
Another example we came up with was practicing a skill or getting better at that skill. So if you have a particular, you're a singer or you like to perform theater plays or you like baseball or volleyball or, ice skating, the more that you practice and get better, the more that you're going to grow as an individual.
For sure.
And there were two more. Did you want to talk about the other?
Sure. Trying out something new to see if you'll like it. Because as a person, I think life is about trying new things. You never know if you're gonna like it or not if you never tried it. And the fourth one is taking on a project where you have to push yourself. So I think that's a really good one because you never know. Like this third one, you never know where your limits are unless you try.
Yeah.
And then, it might seem scary at first, but then there might be unexpected, surprise or something that can happen along the way.
Hopefully some growth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. And then for the last couple of minutes, one thing we've never talked about, but we've always wanted to talk to you about is the Delphi program.
Oh.
We haven't talked about it. We keep wanting to.
Yeah.
We have a couple more minutes left. One of the things is that our particular program here is very unique and it's very specific as far as the academic side. It is all developed by our sister company, Heron Books, through years and years and years of research and upgrading content and keeping content fresh and all of that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And hopefully our webinars that we've been doing are giving you hints of what that program is like.
Right.
And little, nuggets of information that could be helpful to you, whether you end up being able to be a Delphi student or whether you go back to school as soon as your school opens back up again.
Right.
But we wanted to take a second to tell you just that everything we've covered in the webinars they're all little pieces of Delphi. The things that our students get to experience here as part of the Delphi experience and program.
Yeah, like the ethics book and the integrity and code of honor course, all the Delphi students do it early on in their program.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get to then apply that information as they move through the program.
Right, for sure.
And they apply it at new levels and new standards.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that I would love to extend to you from home, that you take some piece of information that we've gone over in our webinar, whether it's the piece on integrity or the piece on ethics and making good choices, or whether it's responsibility and really taking ownership for your actions. Any one of those pieces that really makes sense to you, I challenge you to work on that skill and try something new with it and get better at it, because it's really only going to help you and the various parts of your life as well.
Okay, we have a last question. Oh my God, we have a few.
Okay, we're going to take a second and read some questions before we end off here.
There was a time when I was at the beach and me and two girls in my class were trying to get back to the shore, but the waves kept pushing us back. And suddenly they started screaming and started freaking out and calling for help. We eventually got to the shore, but two old ladies started scolding me and I felt guilty. What do I do to fix this? Please answer. So I mean.
All right. Well, it sounds like it was from the past, but it sounds like if you were in a bit of an unsafe situation in the ocean,
right?
That it sounds like you did exactly the right thing. You got back to shore as soon as you could,
Right.
So it sounds like you did the right thing. maybe you could use that information in the future to look at the waves next time you go to the ocean and see like, oh, and, you know, just use what you learn from swimming in those rough waters and decide if you'd want to swim in less rough waters next time around.
And Fallon has another question. How do you build this confidence in yourself to act and be how you want to be and not care about what other people think, as long as it's nothing bad, you know?
That's a really great question, Fallon. I am going to refer you back to the article that we read called Personal Integrity. I think that is the key on really being able to practice that skill of being able to see what you see, say what you see, and then use that courage to act on it or say it out loud if you need to. But it's just something that you will practice over and over and over again, and you will continue to get better at it. You will. If you are focusing on improving, you completely will improve that. Okay, great. I think that's all the time that we have, and being told we're at the end of our time here. Well, we've certainly had so much fun talking with you guys about these different topics. And we really, really, really wish you the best. And again, remember the challenge that Simon and I are giving you about finding whatever piece of helpful information that you learned from our webinar and using it in your life.
For sure.
Okay.
Oh, Fallon, what was the key? I missed what you said. Oh, the key was to keep practicing and then just keep applying those to your life, and eventually you'll get better and better at it. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And then we just want to remind you that the very last webinar that Delphian is delivering is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon
2:30
at 2:30.
Yes.
And we would love you to all tune in. It's supposed to be really special. I don't know anything about it. Simon and I haven't really heard about it, but it's supposed to be really special.
Yes.
So
we'll both be there. So
thank you guys all so much for attending. Really appreciate your time and happy to have talked with you today.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Take care.